So before I made a video where I talked about how terrible this controller is, and after using it for a bit, because one of the things I realized was that when I made that, when I went over a controller and said how terrible it was, the only game I'd played on it was Guilty Gear, which is a fighting game where you primarily have to use the terrible D-pad. And I've realized that, D-pad aside, this really isn't a bad controller. I still hate the D-pad. I still really hate the D-pad. But everything else about the controller, because I've been playing Risk of Rain 2 specifically, where you use the rest of the buttons, not just your D-pad and your these, because that's really all you use in the game. And sometimes you use your bumper or a trigger, but that's very rarely. That's just when you have to do a burst, which you're not gonna know what that is because you don't play Guilty Gear, or I assume you don't, but whatever. And after playing with this controller for a bit, I honestly really like it. Because because one of the things that I've discovered is a lot better on the PS4 controller. I said this in my in the other video, but I like the PS4 joysticks more than Xboxes. But because at the time I just liked them a little bit more. After using them more, I love these joysticks. Cause these ones, maybe it's because I've been using this controller for ever, but it's just, it takes no effort to actually just push the joystick. You just push it forward. There's no when you get a new controller and you can feel there's almost I guess you have to push a little harder on the joystick, but it just feels so much better. That's what the PS4 controller feels like constantly. I like the thumbstick design more because this one has this little ridge and dirt gets in there and it's terrible. This one, they're completely smooth. They have a ridge, but it's curved, so it goes this. I'm talking about right here. It's more like this, but whatever. You see where that little inner circle meets the outer circle. On the Xbox controller, that's just you can see there's no it doesn't I guess fade into it like the PS4 controller does. It's just a ridge. And you wouldn't think it's a huge deal, but it makes it feel a lot better. And I like the click of the joysticks more. I like just the way they feel. Another thing, on Xbox it's ABXY. I feel that those same buttons, which for PS4 it's these, they feel a lot better. Not because the buttons are better. I mean, they're pretty much the same, the exact same. But just the layout of them, I don't really know. They just feel better. I can't really tell you what feels better about them, but they just feel better. They just feel so much better. I still hate the D-pad, but I got a new controller. It's not brand new. I got it from a friend who's had this for a year, but it's in pretty much brand new condition. It's mildly used. And the D-pad is definitely better than the other controller I had, but I still think the Xbox Series X D-pad is a lot better. One of the things that I found out I really like about the PS4 controller is the bumpers as well. These feel so nice. It's because these are here, listen to these. Now listen to the Xbox ones. Keep in mind these are white custom bumpers I bought. They don't sound as good, especially the right one, that sounds terrible, but the left one, The PS4 just the PS4 one is just a lot better. No, I still do think the Xbox triggers are better, but or not really found out, I kind of came to realize that it's not, the triggers aren't great, but you don't notice that when you're playing. Like, when you're sitting here, just, like, pressing it, like, paying really close attention to it, trying to be, like, really, like, what's the word, really, like, I guess, critiquing of it. Like, yeah, because, like, your finger, it hangs off, like, halfway like this. It's, like, whereas the Xbox controller, there's no hang. You just, but you don't, I thought it would be a lot bigger of an issue than it is. And it's just a non-issue. Like, I still prefer Xbox, but, like, these ones aren't bad. One thing I do like is where they put the share button right here. Because on the Xbox, this is the share button. It was very common for me to, like, when I wasn't looking at my controller, I would reach over to, like, try and hit menu, and I would accidentally hit this, and I would take a screenshot, and it was really annoying. And I have it disabled now, but, like, the button does nothing. I literally just mapped it to do nothing because it was getting really annoying. But I still just like where the share and menu buttons are on PS4 more. And I like the design of it more. At first, I like Xbox's more because it's just, it's sleek, it's smooth, like, but the PS4 one, it just feels hefty. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, like, hang on. My bed creaks a lot, and to, like, fix it, you have to, like, rattle it. But whatever. The, where was I? Oh, yeah, the PS4 controller design, it just, I don't know, it just feels like it has, just not, I can't put it into words, it just feels, it just looks better. I don't know, it just does. I could never describe it to you. It just is. It really just is. There is no possible way I could put whatever I'm thinking right now into words. But this just, it feels like it feels like hefty in the hands. Like, it feels like solid. Whereas I feel like the Xbox controller, like, it feels kind of like, like, at first, I thought this felt cheap. But after using both of them for a while, again, it's probably because I've been using this one for a while and the buttons are worn out. But, like, I feel like this actually feels cheaper. Yeah, like, the PS4 controller is not bad. I don't think either of the controllers are better than the other. Unless it's fighting games, in that case, I would say the Xbox controller is better by a long shot, just because the PS4 D-pad is terrible. But it's only terrible when you have to do, like, precise, like, movements where you're, like, rolling your thumb across the D-pad. If you're just, like, on a regular game where you just, like, have to press a button, where it's just, like, quick time event, like, it's not a huge deal. But on Guilty Gear, you know, obviously, you know, like, it's not the same thing. You have to, like, it's like you have to spam the hell out of your D-pad. But, yeah, that's really it. The PS4 controller is pretty good. I still don't think it's, like, it's on par with the Xbox controller. Neither of them are better than the other. They just, I don't know. Because I feel like the Xbox controller has better form. But the PS4 controller has better, like, actual, like, mechanics, like, buttons. Excluding the D-pad. And maybe the triggers, but the triggers aren't really a big deal. God, I can't speak that. Whatever. Like, if I could take, like, the way the PS4 buttons feel and put them into like the format of an Xbox controller, that would be like my ideal controller. But obviously I can't do that, so yeah. That's about it. The PS4 controller is not as bad as I thought it was.